you know that we're going to start recording. It'll flash for a second.
Adam is recording the call, it tells me.
Right. Yes.
There we go.
I don't know, Clive. It's pretty good to have someone on the system who really knows what he's doing.
Yes. Otherwise, we'd still be typing messages on WhatsApp.
John,
Oh, God,
you
yeah.
know why? You know why? We practiced this for 2 hours earlier on.
Well, I tried Skype when you suggested it this morning, and I couldn't remember my password. I haven't used Skype for ages.
Yeah.
So I've been running around the house trying to find my list of. Oh Lord. Anyway, I got it sorted.
Yeah. Right. It's the first time I've tried it, John. So good job it's working.
Yeah, well, I used to use Skype quite a lot ages ago, but
Yeah.
haven't done for some time. I use Messenger now with people in England, other folk in England, so it seems to work.
Yeah.
Well, now, so here we are. So Wendy's sleeping, and Viv didn't want to join us.
Right. Oh well,
No,
we'll carry on, and
we will.
you know.
I think Viv likes to stay off camera.
No, she's a bit shy, I guess. Yeah.
It's
Well,
very.
I'm sitting here looking out to the beyond there's bushland beyond me, and then mountains beyond that, and there's still a blue smoky haze out there. And I was outside a little while ago, and there's still a very nasty pungent pong around. In fact, I think the aftermath is worse than the actual fire itself when it's around, because it's a decay. I don't know. It's hard to describe. It's almost a chemical sort of smell. Very unpleasant.
Yeah, especially after like weeks and weeks and weeks of it.
Yeah, well, it's still burning there around here. There's still a very big fire down south or southwest of me. But the rain hasn't touched there, unfortunately. Now, our wonderful weather forecasting system, they told us 3 days ago, I think, something like that, there was a huge band of rain coming right down the continent from north to south, and that we'd be drenched. Well, parts of Queensland's had 300 millimetres a day. Sydney's had up to about nearly 100 millimetres, I guess.
Yeah.
We got about, I think, 28 or something like that over 3 days. That's all we've got.
They snatched all yours.
Well, you know, weeks and weeks ago, I decided that I'd put some fertiliser on my lawn, and it was raining. So I dashed out in the rain and spread the fertiliser around. The rain promptly stopped, but it hasn't rained since. Yesterday, I went and put fertiliser on my lawn because it had rained, and the rain has stopped. So there's something to do with it. It's a bit like walking out with an umbrella, I suppose. I don't know.
Don't know if the neighbours see you now, they'll be going, stop, don't put any more on.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, well, because when the rain was forecast, people were frantically cleaning their cars because it always rains after you clean your car.
Yeah.
So I believe. Yeah. That doesn't seem to have worked. Anyway, now look, well, it has been a pretty awful time here for quite some weeks, as you've probably gathered from my posts. Fortunately, I've escaped it, although I don't think that psychologically you escape these things, even though I was in Canberra, which as the crow flies is 150k away, I suppose. I was still well aware that these fires were at any time could just gobble up my house and all those around me, and came very close to it. So I suppose that's sort of, you get a reaction to that. I guess I was worried about it. I really didn't think about it. There's nothing I could do. But
Preys on your mind though, doesn't it?
Well, I guess it does. I've been in a sort of a malaise since I've got home, and I just can't be bothered. I've just, and I think other people are the same. It's so I guess I'll have to snap out of it. Yeah.
Before you went away, you were quite busy with your steps, weren't you?
Well, yeah, the steps, well, they're all finished now, except I might need to put some handrails around them because it's a pretty steep drop off the edge, and it's only a very narrow little staircase. But that's something to think about. I suppose as long as they don't have very old people or small children, I think it'll be okay. Not that there's
Yeah.
any old people around here.
No,
No.
of course not.
I was looking into your area. It seems to be literally a retirement area, isn't it?
Well, it is. I mean, South Coast, when I was a kid, well, and growing up and into my teens, this area was really the holiday area for Canberra, because Canberra is not on the coast, and even though the Commonwealth owns a small area of land somewhat north of me, where the naval base is, the Naval College, Jervis Bay, that's owned by the Commonwealth, and that's supposed to be the coastal part of Canberra. But of course, this is a lot closer by road. So this was developed really as a holiday area for Canberrans. And there were lots of little cottages all over the place. And they were. People used to bring trailer loads of junk down here to build their little cabins. Well, of course, it sort of grew, and some of those cabins became houses, and they were done up and became permanent homes. And then, of course, as the place flourished, I guess more people moved in and lived here. What the heck they all do here, I don't know. The people who live here, there's not a lot of industry going on.
Maybe they had good jobs in the past and now they can afford to retire.
I think the Canberrans who own holiday colleges here eventually retired to them. And of course, some of those have been sold now. Some of those homes are quite expensive little houses nowadays.
Yeah.
But I think that's still the case. Canberra still has lots of fairly well-off public servant type people and professional people, and they own holiday cottages here. And of course, many of them are retired here. So it is a high population of retirees. As well as that, there's a lot of people on welfare down here too, because it's a nice spot to be sort of sit on the beach all day and
Yeah.
or whatever they do.
If you haven't got a job, what else are you going to do?
Head to the beach.
Yeah. Well, I haven't got to the pot yet. I'll try it, but anyway.
How long have you lived there, John?
Well, I've been, and this house is my daughter's home. She came here nursing from Canberra about 2 years ago now, I suppose. She bought this home, and then she remarried, and she and her husband bought a home not too far from here, a bigger house. And at that time, I was looking to move anyway from where I was living, and the kids wanted to be closer, so I decided I would move into this house.
Yeah.
I've been here 2 years. In December the 12th, I moved 2 years ago. So it's good to be closer to the kids. I'd been living in a retirement village from the time it was built, for about 20 years or so.
Oh, right.
And it was just time to move on, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've done that, and it's I like it here. But it's sometimes when I was in a retirement place, I had a few friends there. Of course, I could go and knock on the door, chat with people. Here,
Yeah.
I haven't really made any friends. I've been too busy building stone walls.
Yeah.
But anyway, one of my daughters, Christine, the nurse person, lived not too far away, and Jennifer comes down here too. They've got will be a retirement home, a holiday house here, and they're here again this weekend. They come down about every second weekend.
Yeah.
And that's where I was staying in Canberra with them. And Wendy is about an hour away down the
Right.
coast.
So not too bad then. You know, you.
No, and well, she has a job working in the retirement industry. She's a life support person for retirement, for a group of retirement villages, and they have a village here, and they have one about 20k away at Bria, and then down where she's living, and she spreads her week out visiting each of these places. So she stays with me Thursday nights when she's down here.
Yeah.
So I get to see her pretty often, and that's good. Considering
Yeah.
after 20 years, I hardly saw them at all.
Yeah.
So you can make up for it now.
Well, yes, I suppose. Now there's something I want to say. Viv asked in one of her posts, what was the community spirit like with all these fires and things. And I found that very hard to write about because there's so many angles to a question like that after this. And I suppose if this is being recorded, and I guess you'll hear this now, it's there's been a wonderful community spirit. I mean, the communities got together, people who have never talked to each other, even in the same street, sort of recognise that they need to communicate, and that's been happening a lot, I guess. The evacuations, when all this first occurred, there were lots and lots of visitors here who had arrived here for their holidays, and the place was swamped with outsiders and people out of towners, if you like. Well, the powers that be decided that we couldn't support them in the town, and they told them to get out. So it took about 3 days to virtually evacuate the whole coastal.
Yeah, yeah.
In the meantime, they had emergency centres set up and evacuation centres. And some of the people decided that they could live in these evacuation centres and have a free meal, and everything was put on for them. That became a bit of a problem in the town, and I think caused a bit of resentment because the town felt that they were having to provide for these people who should move out.
Yeah.
And that's still a bit of that hanging around. And then, after things settled down a bit, looting started here.
Okay.
Right.
And there are now some locals set up a Facebook page, artist board area, and people started posting their experiences and their grievances and stories with the looters and so on. Now, some of those posts were helpful, neighbour to neighbour, if you like. Some of them were pretty horrible. People started attacking each other for all sorts of reasons. Some people sort of support, and others asking,
Yeah.
do you really, what's wrong with you? Do you really need the support? Others need it from you, and all that sort of stuff. So it's a mixed bag, and it's still going on here, even though things have settled down.
Was it outsiders who were doing the looting, or is it across?
I don't know, Clive. The
Yeah.
police have apprehended a couple. There was a large retail electrical store here, outlet, in a sort of a big, large, I suppose, industrial sort of shopping centre where there's a electrical store and drapery and a few places like that in the complex. That was burnt, seriously damaged and destroyed, really.
Yeah.
The electrical store was looted, and the cops did actually pick up a bloke and with tens of thousands of dollars worth of electrical goods, telephones, and all sorts of stuff. They were tracked down and grabbed. But as to the houses that were looted, I don't know that they've actually found those people. It was so bad that, in fact, just down from me is a golf course. There's a family living in a caravan outside that golf course, near car park. And he's an electrical tradesman of some sort, and he had a large trailer attached to his caravan full of tools. I suppose thinking that he'd be able to help out here when straighten out a bit. Anyway, they were running. They had power running on a generator outside their caravan. Someone pinched that one night, just came along and lifted it up and took it away. And then that next night, they put a post on the Facebook thing about that. The next night, their daughter heard noises at the back of the caravan, and they apprehended a couple of people trying to whiz his trailer off with all his electricals. So
it's amazing, isn't it, how people do things like that?
I guess it's opportunists, isn't they? If they're thieves normally.
Well, there are people still living. I don't know, people whose homes were lost, and that includes homeowners and renters here. I think I explained in some of my posts, and the welfare people living in housing commission places that have gone. I have no idea where they are or what they're living in. Some of them are living in caravans. And in fact, there was a family was posted a couple of days ago that they had a very large, almost new, very big caravan outside their home, and they weren't using it. just sitting out there, and people do here with their big vans, and someone flogged it. It just disappeared. So they put a post on about that, and the police got onto it, and there were all sorts of reports coming in from the thing being sighted all over New South Wales, miles away. And then it was discovered only 25k away in a little can of Mogo, which was partly burnt out. Someone had flogged it. I suppose they thought, well, you're not using it, I'll take it.
Yeah. I thought you was going to say they let somebody use it because they weren't, but
no,
you know.
No, they haven't done that. There is a bit of that going on. I think people have been very generous about that sort of thing. On the other hand, I think be a bit wary, particularly with this.
Yeah. I suppose it stops people evacuating as well, doesn't it? If there's looting, they think, I'm not going to leave my house,
Well, that too, and there were people that, for that very reason, who didn't want to leave their homes. That's right. Yeah, true. Now, but the interesting thing is, with all the regulations in place, it's now been revealed the council is insisting that people may live in caravans for only 2 nights. Because the rule, them's the rules. And if they get it without it, then they can have to get written approval to extend that. Once they get that approval, they're allowed only 3 months, I think it is, or something like that, to live in this van.
Yeah.
I suppose there's some reason for that, otherwise it would be a sort of a strange mix of residential here. But of course, at this time, that's just ridiculous because people are looking for anywhere to put their head down.
Yeah.
It's a bit more long term, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, I think I said to you that the trouble, once they get sites clear and start rebuilding, there's going to be a problem with tradesmen. Well, at the moment, there's a suggestion there's people all over Australia volunteering to come to this area and to help to build. When that comes about, who knows? Because first of all, the insurance claims have to be done. Then the council has to approve the clearing of blocks. They've actually just stated that providing the replacement home has the same footprint, in other words, on the same foundations, they'll approve that building very quickly.
Yeah.
But if you want to change the house design and so on, and that's pretty well going to be necessary because in the last 10 years or maybe less, I suppose, fire regulations have tightened up to the point where houses have to be very different in Australia, and the fireproofing of houses is really expensive and tight regulation. Now this house, it's a timber frame house on steel. Well, it's got a steel guts, all the steel and so on. And it's elevated. All around it, it's actually clad in galvanised iron sheeting, tied right down into the walls, right into the ground.
Yeah.
It's designed so that embers and sparks can't enter the house. Now that's pretty expensive. It means it's a double dipping in some cases, that you've got to build your house and then rebuild parts of it to insulate it against fire. So those requirements are going to add extra time to people's needs to rebuild because the approval system is going to be more stringent. Regulations will have to be affected.
Yeah.
So you're looking at 2, maybe 3 years before some houses will be replaced.
So where are people going to live till then?
Well, that's the thing, Clive. Who knows? I
Yeah.
don't know how they're going to manage that. At the moment, I gather that the motels and hotels have opened their doors, taking people basis. That's the thing, and of course, people who have rental accommodation, holiday accommodation. A lot of Canberrans especially have houses here simply to rent them through the holiday periods now.
Oh, right, yeah.
A normal sort of household here for a family of, mum and dad and 3 or 4 kids that type of house is renting in the holiday period now for $2,000 or $3,000 a week. And people depend on that income to pay for the house for a start. And
Yeah.
also, you know, it's a little bit of extra income for them. Well, of course, they're not getting that now. Even though if they're trying to encourage visitors back to the town now after holiday period is pretty well over for some people, a period of time, so that may not happen. But the council is now, I think it's the government, the New South Wales government, has been asked to subsidise these homes to make up for that loss of income from that home and rent them cheaply to families who need a house.
Oh, right, yeah.
Now,
But can they do that? Can they afford to do it?
I don't know. I haven't heard that that's happening. And even if the government does do that, how long can they afford to do it before the state's broke?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's in previous years, John.
Yeah.
What has it been like in bushfire season? Has it been anywhere close to this, or?
Oh yeah, yeah. Look, there have been fires in this area always. In fact, when you wander around the bush that's not burnt, you can actually still see the blackening of the trees that might have been burnt 10 years ago. Because sometimes the bark just holds that burnt sort of look about them. So there's quite a history of fire in the area. There's no doubt about that. But the thing is that these villages, if you like, these coastal villages have expanded in the last 10 or 15 years to probably more than double their size or even bigger than that. A lot of people have built into those bush areas now. And some of them have built right into the bush. So you can't even see the house from the road in some cases. Because they're asking for trouble, you know.
Yeah.
I guess it's also, like you're saying, it's a case of that they're expanding so much that where the fires used to be burning in empty areas, they're getting more and more built up.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. And life and limb is threatened now where it might not have been before. A lot of it was farmland, and I guess in those burns in the old days, there may have been stock losses and things like that, and the old farmhouse might have gone. It happened in the past, sure. But now it's much more densely populated, and there are sort of rows of houses and streets of houses at risk now, and that's what's happened, of course. But the other thing is that there's this, everyone's rolling against the Greens and the influence they've had in the political area to maintain the national parks that have been established here for years, I suppose. The state government has actually isolated areas of bushland and created national parks all over the place. Some of them are quite small, some of them are 20 kilometres in size. And then they determined, pushing that as much as anybody, I think, the national park should be absolutely cut off from any access. Now, a lot of them in the mountainous region, Kosciuszko National Park, that's our ski fields in South Wales. That was traditionally a summertime grazing area, and all the graziers around that region were allowed to graze their stock in there over the summer period, maybe even the winter too, I don't know. They kept down a lot of the grasses and a lot of the vegetation that might burn, and it really helped towards maintaining and managing some of the fire. Well, that ceased some years ago. The graziers were shut out, the parks were locked up. No one bothered to clear any of the vegetation from the understory, and the bush just grew and grew and grew. Just when a fire gets into it, the fuel is there and away it goes, and you can't stop it.
Yeah.
Oh, so there's quite a lot of factors that a lot of us don't really think about, isn't it? You're aware of it because you live there, but to us, we wouldn't have even thought of that angle.
No. Well, because some of my work I did actually had some projects in the national park area, and I was well aware of the management techniques that were in place as well. And I suppose I might have a slightly more sharpened knowledge and point of view about those sort of things, like who's living next door, for example, who probably doesn't think about it either, you know. That's certainly a problem now. And now Canberra, there were some major fires in Canberra in 2003, and I was a year then, moved down to basically was working outward bound people for a year. And the fire started in New South Wales beyond the area. It was only a small fire. ACT fire people went to the fire, but they couldn't reach the source of it because the fire trails were not only blocked off with big rocks and things so that people couldn't drive in there.
Oh, right.
Had fire tracks right through the bush where fire appliances could
Yeah.
They couldn't get into the place, and even if they had, they couldn't get through the vegetation that had then taken over the fire trail. So they
Madness, isn't it?
oh, well, look, it's only a little fire, and it's late in the day, we'll come back tomorrow. Well, and pretty cat. So,
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
I think it's feeding time.
There's a pretty cat. Hey, you, there's a pretty cat. Not interesting. So, they came home to Canberra, went back to Canberra for the night, and of course the thing just took off. Joined with another large fire coming from the south near the little town of Yass out of Canberra. Moved into the city and destroyed hundreds of houses, and 7 people died, something like that. Incredible fire. And,
just shows you, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. So that's what can happen. And, it just got to the point where it was almost beyond control. And it certainly went through the city. It was amazing how it spread through Canberra. Just houses all over.
Yeah. Did anybody take responsibility for all that?
No, they had an inquiry, as they do after all these large bushfires in Australia. They had a wonderful inquiry. In fact, they've even had royal commissions at some various stages. All sorts of recommendations come out of this, that they should have wide areas of fire clearances and near major roadways. Fire trails should be opened up for access and so on. Well, and that they should burn areas, burn them regularly. And they had a formula for that. Well, that just hasn't happened. In fact, some of these areas haven't been cleared for 60 years. So that's what happens.
A lot of stuff to burn then, after all that time.
Yeah, and
factors have all come together, and it just literally wiped out a lot of these.
Well, some of these fires have just joined up, and they're huge. Some of the bushland's pretty inaccessible. You know, it's steep mountainsides and valleys and so on, and they can't get in there. And we just don't have the aircraft, capable aircraft, to do the job. We don't have enough. This state, New South Wales, a 737 firefighting ability where it can simply scoop water up and spread that around, and the helicopters, buckets hanging underneath them and so on. For some time, there's been some agitation to buy more suitable aircraft. It hasn't happened. Now there's going to be a huge inquiry after this because there have been fires in Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Western Australia, and Tasmania. So I think there ought to be a pretty sort of discussion and inquiry about it, and they're talking about a Royal Commission, whether that.
Yeah.
But even though that'll be on for about a year, maybe 2, and then someone will have to decide if they agree to do anything about providing better fire protection and control, how they go about it, and who pays for it.
Yeah. You will, John.
But you know, they're talking about in America they have C-130s, the Hercules aeroplanes.
Oh yeah.
We've got a fleet of them here in our Air Force, going way back. The Americans have quite a number of them fitted out with scooping arrangements. they're quite efficient because they've got a big payload and they require only short runways and all that sort of stuff. They provide quite an ideal firefighting appliance. Well, we had some of our aging Hercules aeroplanes that drove out near Sydney on the RAF base. They got a bit of a problem and the maintenance was high on them, so we simply gave them away to Indonesia. Several of them. I mean,
It's
mind boggles.
yeah. You couldn't make it up, really, could you?
No.
I mean, did any other countries send planes to help?
Well, we have a couple on hire from Canada, a couple of these big helicopter things, huge plane helicopters. Two of those here have been every year now for about 4 years. They're rented, I think, Canada. We've got a couple of aeroplanes, I think, from America. That's about it. Some of the other people have sent people in, firefighters, America, New Zealand, some now arriving from Papua New Guinea, but I think they're more military people. But pretty well we've been on our own. The whole fact is that our bushfire capability really rests on peers. And normally the big bushfire might be over in a week or 2 weeks, and these people come up from all over the place and they fight these fires and they go back home. And their bosses give them a few days off from work and so on. That's how it works.
Yeah.
These are so extensive that some of these people have been out there now since September.
Wow.
So,
they'll literally be scorched, won't they?
Well, and they're not paid. So there's been all sorts of things now about providing some sort of support.
Yeah.
Because, and in some cases, their bosses get fed up with them. They haven't had them at work for weeks on end.
Yeah.
So it's created a real problem this time round, and I think there's a heck of a lot of questions that are going to be asked.
Yeah, they need sorting out, doesn't it? A lot of small firms couldn't bear the cost of somebody being away, could they?
No, they can't. So that's been a problem too, I think. And the other thing is that when all this started to be quite serious, I for one was saying, well, where's the military? Now, I told you the main road between where I live now and Canberra, about 180, that road's been developed over the years, and it's quite a good road nowadays. It winds down the mountainside. It's quite a windy road, deep grades and hairpin bends and so on. That's been the lifeline between Canberra and this area, the King's Highway. That was closed with fire very early on, so it's been closed now for weeks. Their money just opened it on Tuesday. They said it would take months to reopen it. They've had to cut down about 1,000 trees that were likely to fall on the road that would burn. And of course the road surface was damaged and all the signage is damaged and all that stuff. They say, we don't have the resources, it's going to be very difficult going, and I've been saying, bring in the military.
Yeah.
Nearly every major town in this country has an army base.
Right.
Many of them are engineering people, and they have machinery, graders and bulldozers and diggers and all that. And they have the people trained to use them.
Yeah, they can make light work of getting through some barricades, couldn't they?
They could, and that just didn't happen until about maybe a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago, perhaps. Suddenly, the military was brought in, and they've used the Navy to evacuate towns down south from me, where they were completely cut off. Hello, pussycat.
Carry on, I'm listening. I'm just going to take her out to shoot at the feeder.
Right. So the military's been involved now, and the army and all the services have been involved in some way. So I don't know. I don't know. Now the problem is that our constitution, the states have complete control over so many aspects of daily life and control the place.
Yeah.
And the federal government, the Commonwealth government, may not just move in and take over. They have to be actually requested by the states.
Oh, right, yeah.
Victoria grabbed the military a while ago, and that's how they use naval vessels to evacuate that town and take people out. They closed off and out. They evacuated about 4,000 people. So they grabbed them pretty early on. But New South Wales hung off until a couple of weeks ago and finally agreed to let the military in. Now, in my view, and a lot of people other than me now, think that there ought to be some system where the Commonwealth declare a national emergency and just take over.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, that should have happened weeks ago.
I mean, if you've got people sitting there that you can call in to help when it's like that,
yeah,
why not?
Well,
Yeah.
they've brought in
I think the Prime Minister's had a bit of a bashing, hasn't he?
Sorry, Adam?
Your Prime Minister's had a bit of a bashing.
Yeah, look. Well, of course, it's a bit like Trumpy. They don't want him there.
Yeah.
The Labor Party is still distressed that that's the election they had every right to. ScoMo came in and just out of the blue and took the election and became Prime Minister. Well, of course, they're still smarting about that. And they'll try every avenue to try and sort of shift him out if they can. And it's really quite nasty. You know, look, I think he should have somehow should have got the military in sooner. But as he's explained, he actually had to go to the Governor General and get some decision from him that he could go about overriding the states, sending the military in, not just coming by request to say they've got to be there. And I think our state, New South Wales, held off too long. Own thing and so on. So look, the whole thing's a bit messy. But you know, this business about bringing the states in, and ScoMo saying, well, we just couldn't do it. We had to get the states' approval and so on and so on and so on. But I can recall the military for years back. Now, I was working on a 800 KO, I suppose, out west on the Darling River, called the Barwon, where I was working, and I've been working on that river for some years, and sediment transport and flood systems and so on. And a big flood arrived, and it was just unusual. Generally, that area took days and days and days for a flood to reach the area I was working in. Rainfall upstream. That flood, lots of minor streams around the area flooded, and within about 3 days, the town was pretty well cut off. So I got to the end of the military, and the Air Force flew me in with all my gear, with other people's boats and stuff. And then the Air Force was involved because they were already flying there. They were flying in supplies to farms and isolated people and food stuff, all sorts of things. They were involved. Now that happened. So I don't know whether they were requested by the states or that they just did it, I think. So I thought, well, if that happened and every flood that I'm aware of, very soon the army would be involved with their vehicles and case years ago of ducks and all sorts of stuff. So why this was different this time, I don't know.
Yeah, doesn't make any sense, does it?
Well, it doesn't. No, and I think since they've been involved, it's made a big impact. Well, this is one reason they've been able to open some of the roads again clear because of military.
Yeah. Well, you got all that extra labour, haven't you? Who can come in and...
Well, not only that, Clive, I think the difference too is as much as the firefighters and so on work, I guess they're disciplined to some extent. They're still individuals and they can just say, I'm going to have a smoke or I'll go down and have a cup of tea or whatever they want. When the captain says to his bulldozer driver over there, righto, soldier, you get on there, you go and do so-and-so, soldier gets on and he does so-and-so. There's no, well, I don't feel like it. I'm not going to do it. I'll sit and have a cup of tea. That's the difference. And in an emergency like that, I think that military attitude is probably a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll have to see what comes out in the wash. It'll be interesting now with all the arguments. And of course, the Greens are saying, no, we had nothing to do with it. And it's not our fault this has all happened. And of course, ScoMo, the Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, He's even been. It's been suggested he's responsible for all these fires. Why? Because we've been selling coal to India.
Yeah,
I mean,
as you say, any excuse because a group of people don't like him and didn't like the result of the election.
Yeah, well, of course they're all using this to push up this climate change thing, and that's become our national broadcaster, the ABC, a bit like your BBC. Every session of whatever I listen to on the ABC, a discussion group or whatever, climate change thing comes up there all the time. Getting so fed up with it. I mean,
Yeah.
This is my background. I worked in climate and environment stuff like that. Just I really get the thing about it.
I guess it can be really frustrating when you have knowledge that you've built up over the years, and you're thinking it's a number of factors. It's not just one thing.
Well, of course it is, and of course the climate's changed. Well, the climate changed a million years ago too, and it'll change tomorrow. It changed this morning. It changed, but now the idea I mentioned to you, this great glut of rainfall was supposed to come down through us, and we were told here we'd get up to 100 millimetres of rain and so on. I thought, well, I'll wait to see that happens. Well, because it doesn't happen, because with all the modern technology in the weather bureau now, they still cannot accurately forecast the rainfall for today, tomorrow, next week, and yet they're telling us that this is what's going to happen in 30 years' time. I mean, models.
You need to get back in there and develop a new machine.
Well, of course, I was on the baseline, I suppose, when we first got our huge computer at CSIRO when I worked there. Straight away, we've got to start modelling. Now got this wonderful tool and we can model stuff. And we then put aside all the business of real science, getting out there and doing stuff in the field and so on, to sit in an office and model stuff.
Yeah.
Well, the early models were nonsense. I just thought to me that this isn't science, and I thought I got fed up with it very quickly. Particularly as we didn't know how to measure lots of the stuff that we're trying to put in. Hadn't developed the technology then to do that. A lot of that they can do it now, and I think a lot of data that's going into better. For some reason, the results that come out of their models are still a lot of nonsense.
Yeah, I suppose because there's nobody else, they declare themselves experts and then they're believed, I
think there's a lot of that too, yeah. And of course, a lot of what goes on in science is related to grants. University staff, academics, have certain times of the year when they can involve themselves in their own pet professional model research. They apply for government grants and they push these nice things, and of course that's pretty important. The grants come along, and of course the results from that need to be something that the government would want to see, otherwise they give them the grant.
Yeah, so they just reinforce what's been said before.
That's right.
I
think a lot of the background work that goes into it, maybe or something. And I still at uni, a couple of projects with government grants.
Very quiet, John. Have you got your hand over your speaker or your microphone?
No, I haven't. Is that better?
Oh, that's much better. Now I've got sound, but I haven't got vision.
Yeah, you've gone. That's it.
That's the trouble is to get vision. This phone's getting heavy, and I think it was actually buried in the dog's coat. where the speaker is, I think that's what might have happened. Anyway.
That's much better, yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to maintain both. I mean, you've got to have it there, and the speaker's down there. So
yeah.
Well, I heard the start of it. I don't want to miss the end of your rant.
Not to worry. Anyway, now listen, you and New Englanders, you've had a pretty miserable winter, have you?
Rain, lots of it. That's our beef. I don't suppose you'd mind.
Yeah,
But,
it must be really frustrating to hear of us whinging about the rain.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, I suppose you grow up in a fairly dry climate, you don't think much about it, you know.
yeah,
But of course, I from my experience of visiting your wonderful country, and I think, well, so many English and UK people want out of the place, and those who come here think, oh, we can't live there any longer, the weather's horrible. So I guess that's true.
yeah.
But when I visit there, I think, wow, I'd love to live here. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, we get all this rain, and then we get, say, 2 weeks of hot summer, and then they start telling us, oh, the reservoirs are running out. You know, we've got to have hosepipe bans and stuff. And you think, we've had all this rain. What have you done with it? You know.
What have you done with it? Yeah.
Yeah, they obviously haven't built enough reservoirs.
Yeah, well, that's the same here, you know. That's a big thing going on now that we've had a major drought for many years. And the bushfires have come in on top of that.
Yeah.
But, preceding the bushfire problem, there's been a major problem with farmers and water requirements and towns too. There are towns here west of our dividing range outside the coastal area. There are towns now running out of water, and they're trucking water in some of those towns. And that's just poor thinking too from way back. There's been a requirement here that for years, but again, the Greens have had a hand in that. You can't take over that habitat there and build a dam and flood it, and you know, you just can't do that. And they've won out over these years. There's been schemes, planning anyway, going back 50 years or more, for better water storages here, and the governments of the day have decided against it because of the pressure of the Greens, particularly. They have far too much influence, I think, in our everyday needs, you know.
Yeah. We have the similar problems here where we have flooding because they haven't dredged the rivers for years. Yeah. And then they say, well, we haven't because that's the habitat of the three-toed newt, and you know, and it doesn't get done. Yeah. So it seems the same everywhere. Excuse me.
Clive, that's part of the problem. But Sydney, for example, the Sydney basin, grown in size enormously in the last 50 years, I suppose, maybe even less than that for some of it. The suburbs have spread out into what were rural areas, and it's become a huge city. The main water supply for Sydney is Warragampa Dam. It was first built in the 1920s, I suppose. They enlarged, put an extra top on the wall in the 1950s, I think, to increase its capacity. I think there's a plan now to make it even taller, but it was mainly built as a flood control for the city of Sydney because the agricultural lands outside there then were fairly regularly flooded whenever it rained, so they built a dam to use it as a flood control base as much as a water supply for the city. And there was always a problem then of when it was full, once they decided they needed the water, whether they should start releasing it in time to save the downstream areas. There's been big arguments about it for years. Often they left it too late and there would be a major flood down below. Then the discriminations about who's responsible for flooding all these areas, and that went on and on. Now, of course, Sydney's got so large, that water supply is too small. Just can't service the number of people living in the area.
Yeah.
And they've suddenly decided, oh, well, what are we going to do about it? So they built a desalination plant, provides about a fraction of the water needed, and they're talking about doubling that its capacity. They're very expensive to run. In the meantime,
yeah, I believe they are.
They are. In the meantime, the water supply system is really overwhelmed now, and that's happening in other towns around the country. Dams are too small and not enough of them. And when we get decent rain, like your system, we get decent rain, most of that water runs out to the sea.
Yeah, and he's lost forever then. Well, but
It is.
can't they build? Isn't there anywhere else they can build another one, or are they just irking at, the cost? Yeah.
Oh, well, there is the cost, of course, but it's not only that. But there's this great movement to suggest that building dams is bad for the environment, not only because you flood areas and natural habitat, but there's all sorts of arguments about the geological problem of dams, that the enormous body of water sitting over there, and it affects the structure of the landscape and so on and so on.
Meanwhile, people are dying of thirst.
Yeah, it's just crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
yeah. It is.
But now, to give you some idea, this area developed as a holiday area, really, in small country towns. Outside the major part, nucleus, I guess, of the towns themselves, the little holiday cottages and so on, their water supply was tank water. Now, I had close friends in Canberra who owned a cottage far from here, a little village, a little shack, if you like, but a comfortable little home, and that had a huge water tank mounted on a stand, and that was the water supply. It didn't rain, you didn't have water. Of course, a lot of those places still rely on having trucking water. Some of people are trucking water now into their tanks because.
Oh yeah.
Now, they eventually water supply dams were built, and the councils provided town water to those homes. In fact, that little cottage that we used to go and take our kids on down there. I arrived there just as the water supply was piped past the front door. Council decreed that house would be connected with town water within 6 months or whatever it was. And within a certain time afterwards, 3 months perhaps it might have been, the tank had to be not only disconnected but destroyed, because they wanted the revenue from selling the water, the council, that is.
All right.
Which I thought then was just stupid, all these reliable water supply systems are going to be destroyed, and everyone's going to have to pay fairly dearly for the water supplied by the council, which might be a bit iffy too if it's a problem with rain tank at the house. Now, if you build a home here now, you must supply a water tank with that.
All right. Gone back to the old system.
They're going back to the old system, and all these old places had their tanks destroyed, which would still be serviceable.
Yeah.
I mean, what sort of woolly-headed thinking was that?
Somebody must at the time thought, I know, we'll have them. We're doing all this work. We'll make sure they buy our water. And, yeah.
Yeah, well, of course, the water rates are pretty high here too, as is everything else in this. There's about 1,000, must be about 10 or 15,000 litre tank outside this house. And that's a requirement now that has to be hooked up to the toilet flushing systems, and that's hooked up into the laundry, to the laundry machine, the washing machine.
Right.
And to the garden. And the rule is that now, once that tank's installed and hooked up, I may not use town water on the garden. It's an offence.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's caught doing that. Tank water's supposed to supply that. Of course, in the drought situation, my tank got down to about less than a third full before this. Now up to about half full. Getting a bit desperate. I hadn't enough to water the gardens because I keep it there for. But it's only a backup thing, really. And if you're a keen gardener, there wouldn't be enough water in the tank to keep the garden.
Yeah. So if it is a long drought, you just have to stop watering your garden then?
Yeah, that's what I
done.
The back lawn was almost dead. Recovered pretty quickly with this bit of rain, really.
Yeah.
But, that's right. I had vegetables going, and I just couldn't keep the water up to them. I stopped it. as many other people have too. And when you look around, nearly everybody's lawns are brown.
Yeah.
Because there's not enough keep it going, particularly in the hot weather when we've had temperatures in the 40s summer.
Yeah.
Well, of course, you see, that's the other thing, climate change again. I think I'd posted to you a record there in the 1898, I think it was, when right across the continent were in their 40s.
Yeah.
And they keep telling you this is a record. Well, they talk you, oh, this is the highest temperature ever, and it's 0.1 degrees C higher than the original temperature in 1917 or something. I say to people, well, we couldn't measure temperatures to 0.1 of a degree in 1917. So how you just can't compare the two. You're lucky if you record to sort of half a degree centigrade with any accuracy in 1917. I mean, I know that because that's what I did. You know, it makes me so cranky, you know.
They change it to suit yourself, don't they?
I do, yeah. Anyway, so what else? I seem to have been talking a lot, don't I?
Well, you know,
over you two.
We're polite in thinking, well, we haven't heard an Australian's view of the fires, so you've taken us through the whole situation with the fire. You've given us a bit of a hassle with the way things work and stuff. So, you know, what I will do is, if you don't mind, we'll stop the recording, and then I'll restart it so that we've got like a record of the fire tour, and then I've got some questions for you again. So we'll get into those if you don't mind.
Yeah. Well, before you finish this fire thing, there's still a chance that, you know, I've got this bushland all around me, right under my fence. And it's quite, you know, it's old forest and it's big trees and there's a fair bit of understory. There's still a chance that if some nong goes in there and there was a young bloke on an ag bike a couple of days ago, Roy, and ran in there. If that hot exhaust had set something off, that would just go up. And under those situations, my house would be threatened almost immediately. So it could still happen.
Do you think after what they've seen, they'd have some common sense, wouldn't you? You know.
I don't think it's common sense, is it? It's if you've got an idiot, they're going to be an idiot, aren't they?
Well, I suppose so. They've actually caught people and they've been charged with fire lighting. They caught one young bloke. This has happened every year. They get people who are on the part of the volunteer firefighting crews, and someone likes fighting fire so much that they light their own fire and then invite the brigade in. Now, that's happened several times.
Oh, right.
Down below, and they've charged him with lighting 7 fires. 19-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of thing you're against, you know, up against.
Yeah, once they get going.
It's hard to know how to stop that.
Well, that's right.
Yeah, what do you do?
Well, I think it's a bit like the looters. Shoot them on sight.
Yeah, that's probably a good way. Anyway, at the end of this recording, cheers, lads.
What have you got there, Clive? What are you in there?
Bottle of Stella.
Ah, what about your good old Pommy beer?
I haven't got any 4X at the moment. Oh, well, you know, this is good stuff.
I got to like your English beer, and even though I'm happy to drink it warm, and there was so much of it. So every day when I was over there, we'd do our shopping. I'd buy about 4 different new beers I'd not tried before.
Yeah,
I'd have to be living there 100 years, I think. Before I got to try most of it.
There's a lot of brews at the moment. They have microbreweries, you know, where a one-man band does something, and you know the pubs stock a few of each. And yeah, when we go on our Tuesday walk, we John, who I go with, he's a beer expert, so he has a look what they're selling, and then he'll give me his verdict on what we're drinking. But yeah, there's a big choice.
Yeah, there used to be a pub in Birmingham city centre called the Wellington. It may still be there.
Yeah, it is.
That used to sell about 18 to 20 different types of beer at one go. Yeah. You used to go up to the bar and just order by the tap number.
Yeah, well, some of them still have a fair number of taps, I've noticed in the pubs that I've been visiting. But the
Yeah.
supermarkets, though, have an enormous range of beers, I've found. And, I
They
spend
do,
half an
yeah.
hour trying to select.
Yeah, they sell a lot
All
of
right.
real ales.
Real ale, yeah, lovely
Yeah.
stuff. Hmm. All right, Dan. As
Right.
my remark about um, Foster's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mentioned, well, the first time that happened, I was in Warwick, and we gone into an old pub there to have a meal, and walked up, and the guy he just reached straight away for the Fosters. No, we bought a meal, so obviously I'd been talking
Yeah.
with them, and I said, no, I don't want that stuff. Oh, but you're an Australian. I said, well, the worst thing in the world, finding Foster's is horrible stuff.
Yeah, we get told you drink it 24/7. All our adverts tell us that you're always drinking it.
We used to, in one of the houses we lived in, we used to have a seat in the back garden, a bench, and that ended up being called the Castlemaine 4X pub because I used to have a drink there in the evening in the summer. So the kids called it.
Castlemaine. Now, you guys would probably think of 4X as a Queensland beer. I don't know whether you do, but it is actually a Queensland beer for a Castlemaine. But the Castlemaine beer was originally brewed in Castlemaine, Victoria, a little town in Victoria.
Yeah.
For some reason, they moved it away to Queensland, but it really is a Victorian beer. It's not a Queensland beer at all.
But it's probably brewed here now, isn't it? And
Oh, probably, yeah, probably. Of course, that's your full strength beer. I think the light beer is 2X, is it?
I don't think we get that. I think we just get the Castlemaine.
Yeah, Castlemaine. It's a bit of a joke that if you want light beer, you get 2X.
All right.
I thought it might be.
All right then. Well, you go and close off now, and you'll call us again.
Restart.
Don't go anywhere. I'll be back in a second.
Don't go anywhere.